This is my first ever live for Northkind Press. I'm Rachel. I am the owner, founder of Northkind Press and Northkind Story Studio, which is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. Well, I'm going to be talking to you about lots of things, especially questions that I've had from people that I've met at events. So I'm going to try not to say so often. Northkind Press came from a desire for people to share their stories. There are so many people who have an idea or a story to tell, some message that they want to get out to the world, who just don't know where to start. And I've had people say to me at events that they feel silly, that they wouldn't get it right, that they're not very good. And I think there's this expectation that you have to, when you write something, it has to be perfect on the first go. I think that's what people expect to be any good at writing. But most writers and really successful writers don't write like that at all. And just the action of writing can be so helpful for us, even if we have no ideas. So I've had some other people say that they can't think of the ideas. It could be anything, could be a spark, could be somebody that you saw and you really like their shoes and you note down these shoes and what they look like. Describing the world around you is one of the best ways to connect, to connect with what you want to say, really. So one of the best tips that I want to give for people who think they've got no ideas is to keep a little notebook, keep a mini notebook in your bag, uh, wherever, carry it in your pocket, or even if you have to leave it at home, but once a day or many times a day, write down what you've seen or things that were interesting or things that you overheard, conversations that you overheard. I particularly enjoy trying to describe places that I'm at with new words, new ways, um, expanding my familiar. Writing is about a balance between the familiar and making it new. So, how do you talk about this normal thing in a different way? How do you express what's going on in the world around us that really connects with people, that isn't just a boring description? I think that's key. So, I was going to start telling you where Northkind Press came from and where it started. I work in public health. That's what I'm trained in. I'm a consultant in public health, and I am passionate about people living the best life that they possibly can. This is the work that I've been doing for over 10 years. I've worked in public health since 2011, without knowing that what I was doing was public health. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that story and people's lives and the experiences that people have had is the thing that drives everyone. In order to make a change, you have to encourage people to want to do it. What's the reason that they want to make a difference in the world? Well, it could be because of hardship. It could be because something's happening to somebody else that's also happened to them, and so they want to pick up a banner and fight for what they believe in. But it's only story that's going to do that. And there are so many people with untold stories who need a way to tell them. And that's where Northkind Press came from, because I'm not well. I have multiple chronic illnesses, recently diagnosed, but I've not been well for about 4 years. 5 years, because my little boy is nearly 5. He's 5 next week, and I this year has been very tough for me. I've had a mammoth crash, and I've been off work, so I haven't been working since March, and I also have ADHD. My brain is very active. I had written a book. I'd written a children's picture book story to support a local school. That was the original reason, but I'd written that before I went off. And there's been some changes to it. It's now not connected at all to the local school. But it's about two friendly ghosts who live in a school, and the children who work with them and help them to solve the problems. It's about bravery and courage and overcoming adversity. And it's a picture book, and I taught myself to illustrate digitally, and I had no idea how to get this book published. So I set up Northkind Press and did it myself. And I don't want Northkind Press just to be a vanity press. I want it to be something where community members from anywhere, from all walks of life, all backgrounds, can come and receive support to tell their story. And this is where Northkind Story Studios come from. So Northkind Press is the legal name. It's the legal entity of the company, legal name of the company. But Northkind Story Studio is the thing that is going to support people to tell their story. Because I could run workshops for forever, but I'm not going to reach many people that way. And I don't necessarily have the energy to reach people that way. My chronic illnesses are fatiguing, disabling. And I want to reach lots of people because I know there are lots of stories that we're not hearing and we need to hear, because they're stories of hope and perseverance and overcoming adversity and all the things that we think that we can't achieve alone. And maybe we can't, maybe we need a community, but they're the stories that need to be told. So Northkind Story Studio is here to stay, and it's going to help people to get their story down if they haven't got an idea, if they don't know where to start, but they have got an idea, if they need some activities that are gentle and kind to help draw out what that story is, because there might be an idea, but actually getting to the full story and telling it is a different matter. And writers work in different ways. So the way that I work is I have a spark of an idea and I just start writing. I might have a character I want to write about and I start to write about them. I think about what they might do in different situations. I let it evolve. And I know I love to read as well. So people who write, reading is really helpful to support writing, because you get to see different styles, different ways that people have constructed a sentence or displayed a scene or communicated something without saying it. I've just finished reading Richard Osman's book, recent Thursday Murder Club one. I can't remember the name of it. And the other thing is my memory is terrible. What's it called? Invisible? No, something about coming into money. Anyway, this is his most recent one from the Thursday Murder Club. And at the end, he's talking about his process, and he shares, in the Waterstones version, I think, a chapter that he'd written, a scene that he'd written that didn't end up in the book. And that's how I work. So I would write to just discover what's going to happen, because it's sort of a surprise to me. And he describes it as a surprise to him as well, which I really liked, because even as I've been writing now for nearly 40 years. Been writing since I could hold a pencil. Been writing since 4 years old. I remember being in the advanced writing class and being very proud of this. Maths, I'm terrible at. Don't give me any equations, but writing and reading is something that I am good at and I love. The fact that Richard Osman writes in that way was sort of validating for me. And I think lots of people write in different ways. So some might have a whole plot idea, a whole story idea that they explore at once, or they might plan out their whole story. I don't. As I get into it, I know what I want to happen at the end. And sometimes that changes, and that's all okay. This is what I want to get across with Northkind Story Studio. I want to get across that it is all okay. As long as you're writing, it's good. It's a good thing. So Northkind Story Studio is going to provide a few things. We're going to have, and I'm very excited because it's being delivered today, so I may have to do another live when it comes and show everybody the prototype. But we are going to be running a Kickstarter campaign for our story system. So I've said that I've met people who have no ideas but would quite like to write. I have met people who have lots of ideas but have no idea where to start. I've met people who have complete blocks because they think they're not good enough. And if you can pick up a pen and think and write, even if you can't pick up a pen and you're using a computer, or if you have a way of recording your thoughts, you can write. You can be a writer or call yourself a writer. So this system is a deck, and it's the base deck that's coming today, and it has lots of different categories in there of card. And the cards, if you follow it all in order, for a beginner, I would suggest that take you through the process from start to finish of generating ideas, writing scenes, learning different writing and craft techniques. And it is a base deck, so it's an introduction. The idea is that we're then going to have additional decks, and the Kickstarter is so that we can have physical copies of the deck. As I said before, Northkind Press is a new business relatively. I've been off work since March, and in my healing process from the flare that I've had with my chronic illnesses, I have been doing a bit here and a bit there and a bit when I can think properly. And in those times, I've been working on Northkind Press, so it's been a slow start, but it is important work. I have such a passion about people being able to say what they need to say and giving people a voice who don't necessarily have one. So being a public health consultant, I meet lots of people from all different walks of life, and there are many people who have not had the advantages that I have, for example. So I come from a mining village that's now a town because it's grown so much, and there is a lot of poverty here. When I was growing up, we lived in poverty. My mum had food stamps, milk stamps, but then a bit later on, we were out of poverty. We then, I don't know what happened. What happened, I can't tell you. But I have had advantages that I know others have not. And I want to make sure that those people can share their voice and be heard. So that's what the Story Studio is all about and why Northkind Press is so important. I'm jumping around a bit here. I'm going to refer to notes. So, Story Studio is going to help people tell their story, and the deck that's coming is going to be part of that. The other part of Story Studio is going to be a subscription. So, I'm calling it a subscription. It might not be a subscription. It might be a membership. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I do know it's going to be packed full of value because one of the things that I have an issue with is overgiving. I think that's part of why I was in the flare. But I enjoy writing so much, and I enjoy speaking to people about writing and books and reading, and I want to pass that on. I want to share it. So the subscription is going to be 12 months, and it's going to be full of prompts, guidance. It's going to be a full version of what the deck is. So the deck will come along with it, depending on what we raise in the Kickstarter and how many people take up the subscription. It may be a physical version, it may be an electronic version, but then each month there will be an expansion of what's in the deck. There'll be videos from me talking about a craft technique, talking about how to get started with writing, because that's the hardest thing, is sitting, picking up a pen and a notepad and actually writing something. So there are techniques for that. One of the techniques for actually writing something is free writing. So this is a widely used technique from writers, and if you go to any writing groups, you probably do some free writing as a warm-up. You might have a prompt, or you might just write what's in your head. There are two ways of doing it. Juliet Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way, which I still cannot get past week 3. I'm sorry, Julia, but I can't. It's a 12-week programme. But she talks about something called morning pages, which is free writing. So she suggests that in a morning, as soon as you wake up, you write 3 A4 pages of what's in your head. And that is even if you think that you have nothing in your head and you're just writing, this is stupid, I don't know what to say. Excuse me. This is silly, I don't want to do this, why do I have to do this? I've got better things to be doing. Even if you're writing that, you're writing what's in your head. It's stream of consciousness writing that it's called. Or you can free write to a prompt. So the important thing with free writing is not going back and checking your work or editing your sentences. It's just keeping your pen moving the entire time and writing what comes to you. So the prompt might be, it's 2 years from now and you're in the park, what's happening? Like, it could be open, it could be you are, you decided to climb a tree, what happens next? Like, anything. And it doesn't have to be you, it can be a character, you can create a character, it could be a prompt about a character. So there will be support with that, because even when you've got free writing, you need a bit of extra, but it'll be gentle. So the subscription will be a community, but a small one, because I want to be able to support those on it. And I'm really excited about it. It's something that I have thought about for many years, to be honest, and not been able to make happen. As I said, off work at the moment, going back very soon. I am doing so much better than I have been, hence alive. I'm still not right, but I'm getting there. So I'm going back to work soon, and I want to incorporate some of the ideas I've had while I've been off with work as well. So watch this space for that. So one of the things that gets me is that people don't write, or they stop writing. When I've been doing fairs, we've done a couple this summer, each time when I thought I was ready to go back to work, and then the fair goes crash, but that's by the by. I think people are really scared of getting it wrong. I think that they feel they don't have time to do anything decent or to write anything good. Again, that's the perfectionism. You've got to write something excellent first time. Nobody writes something excellent first time. Even Stephen King, even your most famous writers, like they just don't. School experiences, they have a real impact on creativity and art. Until recently, like a big part of my recovery has been creativity, and it's not just been writing. It's been drawing, painting, all sorts. And I haven't done that for many years because of feedback I got at school. I've always believed I'm not very good at art, I'm not very good at drawing, and it's rubbish. It's rubbish, it's subjective. I might not be very good at copying other people's art, but I'm good at doing my own. And that creativity time has allowed my nervous system, because my chronic illnesses are dysregulation of the nervous system basically, it's allowed me to relax and to get out of that fight or flight mode that I've been stuck in for probably 20 years. And so creativity is an incredible way to relax, to heal, but you can't be creative if you're wanting to create something perfect. The way that I've been trying to think about it, because I am a recovering perfectionist and recovering people pleaser, is this is an experiment. What happens if I try this? What happens if I try that? And it might not work, and that's okay because it's an experiment. We're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming to get some words on a page, or we're aiming to get some paint on a piece of paper. Like we're trialing different things and learning as we go. I keep saying this to my son because it's something that he is literally with me. He's like my double. He struggles when he can't do something first time, and over time, with repetition, he's now accepting that he does have to practice. So even the stars, the Olympic athletes, they practice all the time. You can't be good at something and stay good at it without doing it. Some people have natural skill and natural talent. Doesn't mean to say that you can't learn it. Everything we do is learned. We learned how to walk by copying others. That's how we learn at art school. And in writing, if you go on a creative writing course, you would analyse the text and look at how somebody's achieved something or what the effects are of what's happening. And that's how you learn and how you add that into your writing. And it might not be conscious, but that's the whole point. So practicing, you're learning. You won't be good at it unless you actually do it. Like, you can't just overnight become a writer. It doesn't happen like that. You become a writer when you write. So if you were to write consistently, you're a writer. That's how it works. You don't need to call yourself a writer either. So having said that, if you don't want to call yourself a writer, you don't need to call yourself one. If you have no intention of ever publishing anything that you write, you don't need to. If you do have intention of publishing it, there's Northkind Press. So we've got Northkind Story Studio and then Northkind Press. We can work with you to either come to an agreement with ourselves where we would traditionally publish your work, or you can just have one copy of something that you've written, professionally printed by us. So that's an offer there as well. Or more than one, however many copies you want. Many people don't feel that they can claim that they're a writer. Like maybe there's a certain set of criteria that you need to be able to say, I'm a writer, that's what I do, one of the things that I do in my life. I wonder what you think qualifies somebody to be a writer, because I think a writer is someone that writes, but I'd be interested to hear from people. The other thing about the deck, so the Northkind Story Studio is going to be running a Kickstarter for a deck of cards for anybody, beginners who want to come up with some ideas, who want some gentle support and guidance to get their ideas down and to shape them into something that is a story. They might want to write about their own life. Again, these prompts will still generate a complete tale, a complete storytelling. The deck is a base deck, so there's 7 different categories within there. Things like warm-up free writing activities, developing character, looking at your plot, exploring sparks of ideas and fragments. Definitely the best thing that you can do if you're wanting to tell stories is get a notebook, keep it with you, and write what you see, things that catch your attention, things that you overhear, something interesting that you see, or something really, really mundane that you want to challenge yourself to write about. It's another good activity. You can start with fragments. So start with a memory, an image, an object, an idea, and just write about that thing. You're not writing a complete story in one go. You know, these things can take months and years to get down, or they can be written really quickly, depending on how motivated you are and how much time you can allocate. So the Northkind story system, what it actually will do when the Kickstarter launches and is successful, but incredibly successful, it will help you move from free writing, gathering threads together, all those threads of ideas, thinking about character, the shape of the story, how you're going to create tension, how you're going to build your world, because it doesn't have to be set in this world, it can be something that you create, and then the craft elements as well. So how do we do certain things? So it covers all of that. It's a base deck. It is really exciting to me because it's something that I would have loved. I can't even think how many years ago when I started trying to get a complete story down, because I always wrote in fragments. That was my thing. I always had the ideas for little fragments and scenes, but I had no idea how to bring it together. I have learned that over time from lots of writing courses and reading about other writers and their craft and how they do it, and then I've developed my own way. Sometimes prompts that demand an instant story or a complete story they're overwhelming. For me, it's too much at once. Like I said, my process is I have to start with just writing, and then I find out what happens as I go along. I find it really difficult to plot a whole thing out. I need to write, and then I have to go back and think, oh, what do I want to do with that? Am I keeping that? Am I taking it out, etc.? The prompts that are in the deck, in the base deck, are designed to help you gradually uncover what it is that you want to tell in the way that I work. And that's what makes my approach different. So another thing that I want to talk about today is writing when you've got low energy. And because I have a number of chronic illnesses, and a lot of them are fatiguing, and I every day wake up as if I have not slept. You may be able to tell with swollen eyes, even though I have. The only realistic way that I still manage to write when I am absolutely exhausted is just to do 5 minutes and I free write. But even just that 5 minutes, sometimes that gives me energy because I get into it and it's something that I enjoy doing. It's a calming activity that actually replenishes energy. Sometimes I can't even make 5 minutes, so you have to be kind to yourself, but just having that little way in, I think is really important. There is also when you tell your own story, people might be nervous about telling their story. And I completely understand that because there are people in your story who you might need to write about, but you don't want them to know that you're writing about. You might feel nervous about other people knowing that it's you that's writing and knowing the personal things that you're about to write about. And there's lots of different ways that writers have dealt with that in the past. Some just lay it all out and are prepared, seek legal advice about what they can and can't say, and where they might leave themselves open to action. but many write autofiction. So autofiction is a genre that blends your life with made up bits. And I believe that most writing is autofiction because writers have to put their own life into a story, because how else will they have reference points, etc. Now, it might be really far removed, but there could be themes in there that your life has contributed to. So autofiction is a way to do it. And you don't even have to say that it's autofiction. You can change names, you can change things that are happening. And it's really important to have boundaries and to think about them beforehand. How far are you going to go in the story if you're writing it and saying it's yours? How far are you going to tell it? How honest are you going to be about your own role in that story, if you have one? And when I say if you have one, I mean, depending on what you're writing about, if something has happened, often we are not blameless. That's not really a great word, but we are involved. Like, are you going to be very honest about how involved you were and the things that you might have done that weren't great, or are you going to focus on what someone else has done, and then is that fair? Is that valid? Do you have to put the other things in? And there's a really good book that tackles this a little. Oh, I was going to say London Bridge is burning. It's not London Bridge. Notre Dame is burning. Notre Dame is burning. I can't remember the author name. I will look it up and I will make sure to reference it here. But it's brilliant, and that is autofiction as well. Write for yourself first, though. So if you have a story that you need to tell, write it all. Just write it all. Everything, every bit, even bits that you might not want anybody to see, because this is your work and you don't have to show it to anybody if you don't want to, because writing is healing. There's a man called James Pennebaker, and he has done a lot of research into how writing can heal traumatic experiences. So when we have trauma in our lives, it causes physical symptoms, physical manifestations, ill health. And his technique, which is quite specific, so he's done different versions of this. He has got a website, James Pennebaker. I can't remember if it's .com or .co.uk, but if you give him a Google, you'll see it. He found that people who wrote about the most traumatic experience of their life for 15 minutes over, I think it's like 3 times a week or over 3 weeks, their physical health improved like 6 weeks, 12 weeks later. He has been incredibly inspiring for me. So I went to university as a mature student in 2011 and learned about him there. A friend of mine was studying him, and her dissertation was on his work and extending his work. Writing like that changed my life completely, and I would encourage anyone and everyone to write like that. And I don't necessarily write your most traumatic experience, because you may then need support, and his studies provided that. You know, when you write about the most traumatic thing that happened to you, it's not very pleasant. You might need support, so make sure you have that in place before you do it. If you just write about your life, or if you are mad, sad, glad, writing it down is an incredible way to process it. It's a tool that we have that is really underutilized. And I don't know why that is. Like, maybe it's that people don't know the positive effects that writing can have for us. Maybe it feels like work or school. A lot of us didn't enjoy school. A lot of us couldn't wait to finish and then didn't want to see another pen an exercise book ever again. But it is a useful tool for your tool belt in life, just as part of life. For some writers, character comes before plot. For others, plot comes before character, and either way is fine. My way is just writing, just having the ideas and writing. And I have a few characters that I'm working on at the moment that when I write, I tend to put them into different situations and see what would happen and how they would respond. Getting to know characters is really important, and the Northkind Story Studio base deck can help you to do that. The Kickstarter will be launching very soon, this week, hopefully, so that we can get decks printed and in the hands of our lovely customers. So make sure you look out on our socials for that. The thing about story and community, so where we started, the whole point behind Northkind Press is community storytelling. It's for people who feel like they don't have a voice to be able to tell their story and say what they want to say. Story Studio is there to help them to get down what they want to say, to tell that story, and Northkind Press is there to help them to share it. So we've got the two arms. And the thing about community stories is the connectedness. There are so many people now who feel isolated from others, who don't really get out very much. And this is something that I have felt hugely over the past, nearly 6 months, since March. And being off work, being really very ill, so I'm incredibly improved from where I was. I couldn't even sit up like this for the time that I have before. And probably up to about 6 weeks ago, I couldn't have done this. Laying on the sofa all day, every day, not going anywhere other than taking my child to and from school, and only seeing people that came to me, and I'm so grateful to those people that came to me and helped me and supported me and cooked for me and cleared up for me, entertained my child, etc. It's really lonely, and there are lots of people that live on their own that don't have that connection, especially with working from home, that you don't see another human other than online for days on end. And telling our stories and reading stories is a way to connect with other people. Stories teach us empathy. That's one of the reasons I wanted to write a children's book. Children is not where I've focused previously, but I wanted a book that my little boy found funny and would enjoy, but could also learn from, and learn what's brave, how to be kind, what's a funny joke and what's perhaps upsetting. And it's called The Haunting That Helped, and you can buy it on Amazon or on our website, northkindpress.co.uk. The link is in our bio. So yeah, thinking about connection and teaching empathy and understanding how other people might experience the world is what being human's all about, I think. There we go. That's a little alarm. Can't believe it's 11:30 already. Okay. Writing is a way of noticing what happens in the world and thinking about connection and reducing loneliness. Writing helps us notice nature. Seasons, become more connected with what's happening around us, noticing more. Have the leaves started to turn? Is it incredibly dry? Has there been a dew? Is there a frost? What's happening outside? What's growing? What's not? What changes are in the world? Who's around? Who's out? Who's not? All those things. Thinking about neighbours, where you go, etc. It's about memory as well, and maybe comparing what you're noticing now with what you have noticed previously, writing down things that you remember that don't happen anymore, just paying attention to what is going on around you helps you to have more material to work with and more ways of describing things, more ways to challenge yourself and grow your craft and your skill as a writer, whether you want to call yourself that or not. You don't have to. And then the other thing, I've got many things I want to touch on, but there's just a couple more before sign off today. Sometimes life takes over and there are things that mean you can't be creative, whether that's writing, art, drawing, or whatever it is. And then it's really hard to get back into it. It feels like a lot of effort. It feels too much sometimes when we've got lots going on. The thing that I've learned since I've been off work and trying to recover from this crash is that making time to be creative every day is essential to me feeling able to do the other things I need to do. And one of my downfalls, probably the reason for the crash, is prioritising everything and everyone else. I know that I need to put my time into being creative daily. And if I don't, I am going to feel stressed and anxious, and I'm going to feel like my heart rate is high and I'm dysregulated. Whereas if I do prioritise being creative, I'm a lot calmer, I'm a lot better able to deal with what's going on, and I'm feeling a lot better. There's a lot of things that contribute to feeling a lot better from the crash, but that's a big one. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is a competition that we're running. So Northkind Story Studio, the deck is coming, and I'm hopefully going to show you today because it's coming in about an hour. I want people to, whatever their income, to be able to participate in our subscription or membership or whatever I end up calling it that is coming up. So that's going to be launching in January. We are now running a competition for anybody to enter. It's £3 to enter. You can enter on our website, www.northkindpress.co.uk. Please, if you cannot afford the £3, just get in touch with me on our email, which again you can find on the website. It's office@northkindpress.co.uk. The competition is just for you to submit an idea. That's all we want. An idea, a spark of it. It could be not even complete, just something that you want to write about, why it's important to you, when you realised it was important, and what it could become. That's it. So you would pay for our website and you'll be sent a form, or you'll be able to download a form. The form then gets sent back to us on our email, office@northkindpress.co.uk, and the deadline at the moment I think is in September. It could be the end of August. I will double check the deadline. Please do enter, because the prize for the winning idea, we have a group of people who are going to be judges, and the prize is that year-long subscription. So for £3 and an idea, which will take you not very much time at all, you could win something that's worth at least £250, probably upwards of 300, and that just is packed with value. And we would love for our first subscription or membership member to be somebody who's won this competition. So get entering, really excited about it, and I'll be back later, I think, to show you the deck.